Dad treated me like a servant. 2 days before Christmas, he smirked across the dining table, his tone casual but sharp as glass. Your brother's friends are spending Christmas here. It's only 25 people. Only 25. Like I was the unpaid caterer. Like it was my role, not his, to cook, clean, serve, and smile. I looked around the table. My brother beamed, already planning the party in his head. My mom stayed quiet, as always, sipping her wine like she hadn't heard. And me? I sat perfectly still, a small smile tugging at my lips. My name is Olivia Hayes. I'm 28 years old. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. What happens when the family that treats you like help finally realizes they were the ones depending on you all along? That night, while Dad barked orders about grocery lists and schedules, I booked a ticket. By dawn, I was gone, on a plane to Florida, the warm sun greeting me like freedom itself. On Christmas Eve, while I walked barefoot along white sand with a drink in my hand, they unlocked the front door back home to find an empty house. No food. No decorations. No trays of appetizers waiting in the oven. No me. I imagined Dad's face paling, his voice rising as 25 guests looked around at bare counters and a cold kitchen. For once, his kingdom of control had no servant to run it. But what they didn't know, what made me smile into the ocean breeze, was that their real surprise hadn't even arrived yet. Because Florida wasn't just an escape. It was a beginning. And the message I left behind was about to change everything. Christmas morning, my phone lit up with 20 missed calls.
Dad. Mom.
Even my brother. Each voicemail more frantic than the last. The first was Dad's voice, sharp and furious. Olivia.
Where are you?
The guests are here. There's nothing ready. Do you think this is funny? The next, Mom, her tone trembling. Please, just come home. People are whispering. Your father is furious. Your brother is embarrassed. Embarrassed. That word almost made me laugh out loud as I lay by the pool, sipping an iced drink. For years, I'd been the one embarrassed, scrubbing dishes while they entertained, serving food I paid for with my own time, being introduced as the one who cooks instead of their daughter. Now the tables had turned, and I wasn't lifting a finger. By noon, the final voicemail came. Dad's voice was no longer just angry, it was panicked. You've ruined Christmas, Olivia. You've humiliated this family. When we get home, we'll deal with you. Deal with me? The arrogance in his words only made my smile wider. Because while they stumbled through a disastrous holiday with 25 hungry guests and no host, I had already put the second half of my plan into motion. From my hotel balcony, I opened my laptop and clicked send. The email went to every relative and family friend who would have been at that dinner. Attached were screenshots of bank transfers, receipts, and months of proof, utilities, groceries, even mortgage payments, all covered by me while Dad bragged about his perfect household. For years, he'd paraded himself as the generous patriarch. That illusion was about to collapse. And this time, I wouldn't be the servant cleaning up the mess. By the time I finished breakfast on the hotel patio, my phone was buzzing again, this time with messages not from my parents, but from cousins and family friends. Olivia, is this true? You paid for all the utilities. Why didn't you say something sooner? And the one that made me smirk. Your dad looks like a fool right now. He's furious, people know. The proof had done its job. Screenshots didn't lie. For years, I'd been footing the bills while Dad puffed up his chest and bragged about how he provided everything. Now everyone could see the truth. The servant he mocked was the reason his house even functioned. That afternoon, I got a call from Aunt Lisa, the only relative who had ever treated me kindly. Her voice was low but firm. Olivia, your father is beside himself. Half the guests left early. He tried to spin it, but everyone saw the chaos. He can't stop them from talking now. I closed my eyes and let the warmth of the Florida sun wash over me. For once, I wasn't dreading what waited at home. I wasn't bracing for another command. I was free. Meanwhile, the texts from Mom grew more desperate. Your dad's reputation is ruined. People think we used you. Please take it back. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. I typed one reply and hit send. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was the truth. And then I silenced my phone. Because the beauty of truth is that once it's out, you can't shove it back into the shadows. Dad had built his authority on appearances. But appearances don't pay the bills, and now everyone knew it. The morning after Christmas, Dad finally broke his silence. A long email landed in my inbox, the subject line in all caps, "You will fix this." His message was a storm of anger. "You embarrassed us. You humiliated this family in front of everyone we know. You will tell people you exaggerated. You will apologize. And when you get back, you'll take responsibility for this mess you created." I read it twice, sipping orange juice by the hotel pool, then laughed out loud. The mess I created? The only mess in his house was the one I'd stopped cleaning up. I drafted my reply slowly, deliberately. "Dad, for years I cooked, cleaned, and paid without thanks. You called me a servant. You let my brother sit like a guest while I worked myself sick. Now, people finally see the truth. That's not my mess. That's yours. Own it." I hit send and closed my laptop. The sun felt brighter than it had in years. By afternoon, Aunt Lisa called again, almost giddy. "Your dad tried to defend himself at brunch. He said you lied. But when people asked why there was no food or decorations on Christmas if you weren't the one doing it all, he had no answer. Olivia, they know. He can't spin it anymore." I smiled, imagining Dad's red face, his voice rising, the silence of people who no longer believed him. For years, I had been the one with no voice, no power. Now, the silence around him was his undoing. He wanted a servant. What he got was the one person who knew exactly how to make his kingdom collapse without lifting a finger. By New Year's, the cracks in Dad's reputation had widened into full collapse. Neighbors who once lined up for his barbecues now avoided his driveway. The men he boasted to at work stopped inviting him to poker nights. Even my brother, his golden boy, wasn't spared. People laughed at him for bragging about a Christmas party that had ended in takeout pizza and awkward silence. And all of it happened without me lifting another finger. One evening, I got a call from Grandma. Her voice was steady, but I could hear the disappointment woven through it. "Olivia, I always suspected. You were the one keeping that house afloat, weren't you?" "Yes," I admitted softly. She sighed. "He's angry because the truth cuts deeper than lies ever could. But I'm proud of you for standing up." Her words settled into me like a bomb. For the first time, I felt seen. Meanwhile, Mom kept calling, shifting between fury and pleading. One text read, "You've punished us enough. Please, just help us fix this before it's too late." But that was the part she couldn't grasp. I wasn't punishing them. I had simply stopped carrying them. The weight they felt now was the weight they'd piled on my back for years. At work, I received an unexpected bonus, a reward for covering holiday shifts while others scrambled. I used it to extend my Florida trip another week. Every day, as I walked the beach or sipped coffee on the balcony, I thought about how Dad had expected me to scrub pans for 25 people. Instead, I was here free. The truth was out, their power was gone. And for once, I wasn't the one cleaning up. By mid-January, poetic justice was unfolding right in front of them. Dad had always lived for appearances, Sunday dinners with neighbors, big holiday spreads, photos of his perfect family plastered across social media.
But now?
Their house was dark. No guests. No laughter. The neighbors whispered about the collapse, their pity sharper than any insult. One cousin messaged me privately. "Your dad tried to host poker night again." Barely anyone showed up. He sat at the table with empty chairs. I pictured it. My father, once the king of the room, now just an old man staring at silence. Mom's messages shifted from demands to desperation. "We can't get the bills straightened. The cards keep declining. People are asking questions we can't answer. Please, Olivia, just come home and help us."
But there was no home to return to.
Not anymore. I spent those weeks in Florida meeting people who treated me as an equal. Friends who laughed with me, not at me. Strangers who didn't expect me to serve them just because I was there. And as the days passed, I realized something powerful. I wasn't just free from their house. I was free from their definition of me. One night, sitting by the ocean, I opened my phone and typed a single post. Sometimes you have to stop carrying people to let them learn how to walk on their own. I didn't tag anyone. I didn't have to. Within hours, the comments rolled in. Support. Understanding. People who had lived the same story. Meanwhile, at home, Dad's empire of control was crumbling. Not because I fought him, but because I finally stepped away. The confrontation came sooner than I expected. One Saturday morning, I unlocked my apartment door to find Dad standing in the hallway. His face looked older, his shoulders slumped, but his eyes still burned with that same controlling fire. "Olivia," he said, voice tight.
We need to talk. Now.
I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe. "Funny, last time we talked, you ordered me to serve 25 strangers like it was my duty. What's different now?" His jaw clenched. "You made us look weak. People don't respect me anymore. Your cousins, my friends, they whisper. You destroyed my reputation." I let his words hang for a moment before answering.
No, Dad.
"You destroyed it. I just stopped hiding the truth. You built your pride on my silence, and when I stopped being silent, your empire collapsed." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "You think you're better than us now? With your little apartment and your trips to Florida? You'll regret turning your back on family." I met his glare with calm, steady eyes. "I don't regret it. Not for a second. For once, I'm living my life without being your servant. That's not betrayal, Dad. That's freedom." He opened his mouth, then shut it, words choking in his throat. For the first time in my life, I saw him falter, not with rage, but with powerlessness. Mom appeared at the end of the hallway, her face pale.
She didn't speak.
She just tugged at his sleeve, urging him to leave. And when they finally walked away, their footsteps echoing down the hall, I felt lighter than I ever had before. Because the truth was undeniable, they no longer had control. By the time spring arrived, the dust had settled, but not for them. Their house sat quieter than ever, no guests pulling into the driveway, no holiday lights strung across the porch. The perfect family image they'd clung to was gone. My brother no longer bragged about his friends spending Christmas at our place. He avoided the subject entirely. Mom moved through social spaces with forced smiles, but people saw through it. And Dad looked smaller. Meanwhile, I thrived. My job recognized my dedication, and with the raise, I booked another trip, this time not to escape, but to celebrate. Friends gathered in my apartment, laughing around the table I once dreamed my family would sit at. I cooked because I wanted to, not because I was commanded. The air felt lighter, the food tasted better, because it was mine. One evening, a letter arrived in the mail. No return address, but I knew the handwriting. Dad's. The message was short, almost reluctant. "You proved your point. We were wrong. We didn't see what you gave us until it was gone. I don't expect forgiveness, but I hope someday you'll understand." I folded the letter and set it aside, not out of anger, but out of peace. I didn't need apologies to validate my worth. I had already found it in the quiet strength of walking away. The sweetest justice wasn't revenge, or shouting, or proving them wrong. It was this: living a life they said I didn't deserve, free of chains they'd bound me in, surrounded by people who saw me as more than a servant. They had called me disposable. But I was the one who walked away whole.